Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we have some brand new releases from Viseart. They are hot over there. When their creative juices get flowing, they really start to release good stuff. So we've got two new releases. I will say this. We've had a recent new release that I already reviewed, last week or so. I'll post that below. But today we're going to look at the two new Petit Pro palettes. We have the San Francisco palette right here and the London palette right here. We're going to talk about both of them and hopefully give each their due. They're both beautiful palettes. But first let's talk about the outsides of the palettes, because with Viseart, as I said, I call them artists for a reason. It's the 360 experience with Viseart, from packaging and integrity and ingenuity all the way through concept. So these Petit Pros are based off, they're kind of the city, the city night collection that started with this one that I'm holding in my hand right here, inspired by the classic Paris etchelle, which was the Paris, you can mix and match these, by the way, because they're all magnetized. Viseart always thinks of makeup artists and their needs. Also home use, of course. So this was the Paris at Night palette right there. I'll actually swatch it with these so you can kind of see. So these are influenced by it, and we have the outside, check this out, of San Francisco. There's the bridge, famously. And London. We've even got Big Ben in there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And again, you can mix and match because everything is magnetized. The San Francisco palette, if we're going to look at it here, and don't worry, I got swatches in two different lightings. We'll also swatch the Paris palette too. The San Francisco palette is an ode to the biggest city near, actually, the Viseart team, with curios and cutting edge, they say passionate, and a counterculture. San Francisco has always had a very active counterculture, and this kind of is an ode to it with the shades that are chosen. It feels very San Francisco to me. I'm a Californian. I've spent a lot of time in San Francisco. And this palette does indeed feel, take it from me, very San Francisco. Meanwhile, we also then have the London at Night palette, which is, let's take a look here, very different palette in terms of color story. That's an ode to the bustling boroughs and edgy, eclectic, kind of subversive, and they say on the Viseart site, seditious, which reminds me, of course, of Seditionary, Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood's store, famously London, I believe in Chelsea. Just reminds me of that. I'm not saying the color story, but to say it's seditious. When we think of London and I think of that word, I always think of Malcolm and Vivienne. But beautiful kind of purples. And actually, I am wearing the London palette right now. And I stayed away from the purples, not on purpose. I just give a lot to Viseart purples because I really love them. So I stayed away from it and still did this gorgeous look with it. Let's take a look at these first of all. On my arm, I put them together, but I left enough space in between so that they're not kind of interfering with one another. So first in studio light, we have the San Francisco palette on the left of my arm and the London palette over to the right. And there it is in studio lighting for you to enjoy. And then, when we are really going to see these palettes shine is when we take them outside into the warm California sunshine. So here they are on my arm in the same order, San Francisco on the left and London on the right, in outdoor natural lighting. I think it really does show how beautiful they are. And for fun, since these were inspired by the Paris, the classic Paris etchelle palette, I went ahead and swatched it so you can see all three together. So here we have San Francisco on the left and London on the right as usual, and underneath is the Paris palette, just so you can see how those all kind of go together. And remember, it's magnetized. You can take them out. You can trade them. What is it? Mix and match, trade with your friends. You can do all that. So lots of good stuff coming out of Viseart as usual. With that team, they are very inspiring and inspired. And what I'd like to do now is give these palettes a little bit each of their due. So we're going to do a look with each of the palettes. More to come over the coming weeks, of course. And happy to do any swatch comparisons that you might need over on Instagram. Just give me a holler below. Or hit me up on Instagram, of course. Let's go to the demo right now. See right there. Let's have fun and do two looks. We'll start with the San Francisco palette, not to give it short shrift, but it won't get the eyeliner and the mascara that the London palette will get. Not that I prefer London over San Francisco. It's not a city thing. Just sparing my eyes situation. Okay, so let's start here with the Viseart San Francisco palette. And I am going to just be a little bit boring and start right here in this very pale, slightly peachy shade. Now, I know I could have done one palette per eye, but I didn't because we only have 2 palettes here, and I'd like to give them each their due as they are both so lovely and beautiful. And then I'm going to go over that here with a little bit of this shimmer shade underneath it right here. And that's just a really pretty base. I feel just like kind of clean and bright. I got to work this kind of coppery peach and this aqua color in. Let's go next door though with the same brush right here. These are my newly cleaned brushes. I had just used, I just reviewed the Scott Barnes holiday offerings, and that used a lot of brushes and a lot of brush laundry is what I'm calling it now to do. So these are freshly cleaned Sonia G brushes from the video that you guys actually saw. I believe it will be yesterday. Okay, so I'm just kind of darkening that up, and that's very pretty. I do have hooded eyes, so I have to run that up just a little bit, but I'm very happy with that. Oh, elbow stick into something there. And then we're going to just go right underneath with the same shade. Okay, now let's get into these kind of fun shades. Let me go here with this kind of coppery, seems very San Francisco actually, shade, and I'm just going to go right, I'm not going to tap off the brush because this is a metallic shade actually, so we're just going to go right over the eyelid with it, maybe even a little bit up and underneath. That's very pretty. It's a really warm kind of coppery orange look we're doing. What to do with this shade right here? Boy, I don't know. Let's darken the outside of the eye with it. This is funny. This is kind of similar to a look I did on yesterday's video with the Scott Barnes Australia palette. These aren't really the same types of palettes, but I think the look is a little bit similar. And that's really pretty, and I can run it underneath as well. And this is a good representation of, for me, like a Sunday morning look with this San Francisco palette. And I say Sunday morning on purpose because whenever I go to San Francisco, I really like to just kind of stroll and go for kind of a brunch on a Sunday. So maybe that's my association, but I think it's a nice one. All right, now let's try the London palette. And I don't mind if I do dip into the London palette, starting with this fluffy Fresh from the Wash brush and starting again, I know, with a slightly boring shade, but it just kind of sets the tone for the look we're going to create. And London is my favorite city in the world. I do love San Francisco, close to home for me, San Francisco. London is a bit farther afield, but it is my favorite, if I do say so myself. Okay, so now we have the stage set, and we're going to go in same Sonia G brush, just going to knock off a little bit of it and just kind of darken the corners and edges with this shade right here. I'm a sucker for a taupe or brown shade, just kind of darkening the corners. It's pretty. Oof, there's there's a lot of really pretty shades going on here. When there's a lot of colors in a palette, and this is just me because I'm not a makeup artist, I'm a beauty editor in print, but I'm not an actual makeup artist in practice. So when I get too many colors going, I can sometimes, get a muddy look, even not the fault of the product, just the fault of my ability. So I like to stick to one shade spectrum. So I would kind of with this go with the purples or kind of the golds and the olives. I've been doing a lot of purples because I love Viseart purples. So the only purples I really love. So let's do a kind of golden olive try on this one. Why not? There's been a lot of really pretty olive palette. Ooh! That's pretty. There's been a lot of pretty kind of olive green palettes, but this, let me tell you, this is a nice olive. That is not too smoky and not too green, but woo! This is a ooh, I like this. I'm glad we're ending on this one. And let's see what happens if I take this golden shade with my finger and just kind of go on top. And I want to go in the inner corner too with this gold, because you can never have enough gold. Chocolate and gold, right? Okay, let me take same brush, trying to avoid the brush laundry. That's my term for it now. Brush laundry. Okay. Tell me that's not gorgeous. And what if we were to take some of that gold on a different brush and just kind of run it under the entire eye? What if we were to do that? Scandalous. Take a little cleaner brush here and just kind of clean up. Whoa, that's pretty. And this is a palette with a lot of purples in it that we didn't even touch, so I will in another look, I promise, because that's sensational. So tell me what you guys think. Obviously, both palettes are gorgeous. I can see that I'm attracted to the London palette even more, but is the San Francisco palette nice? Absolutely. I don't know, I was just feeling this one today, but they're both absolutely gorgeous. And I will post below my review of this. You know, they come out in spurts, so this I just reviewed already as well. So there's lots of new good stuff from Viseart, all sorts of fun things coming up from that creative team. Tell me what you guys think. What was the last Viseart palette that you bought? There's a question for you. If you have never bought Viseart before, here's some questions. What would you like to start with? What would be your first purchase? And if you are a Viseart customer, what was the last Viseart that you bought? What did you think of it? If you're a Viseart customer already, I know you loved it. But let our community know anyway. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. Hey, if you haven't already done so, do make sure that you subscribe to this channel so we can continue extending our reach into the beauty world. Plus, come over and say a big hello on Instagram and on TikTok too. And don't forget, you can join and become a member of this channel for special behind-the-scenes videos, special members-only lives, and members-only discussion groups. All sorts of fun stuff brewing over there as well. And I hope to see all of you in the next video. Bye-bye.